Hi guys, it's Friday afternoon. That means the weekend is finally here, which for me means spending time aboard Athena on my DIY sailboat refit and of course shooting a video for you guys. Before I get started doing any actual work, I've got a quick announcement. I've been uploading videos to YouTube for over 2.5 years now, and if I'm not mistaken, this video is my 200th video. That, at least in my eyes, makes it kind of special. I want to thank you guys for staying tuned, and especially those of you who have been around since the very beginning. I don't go back and watch any of my earliest videos anymore because they tend to make me cringe. In fact, they kind of make me cringe so hard that my toes stay curled up for several days at a time. But every once in a while I notice some familiar usernames in the comment section, guys that I recognize have been around since the very beginning, and that always brings a smile to my face. I think we can all agree that my videos have improved a lot over the years, and also I've become a lot more comfortable being on camera. Both of those things helps a lot in making better, more enjoyable content for you guys. So, long story short, a big thank you to new subscribers and old subscribers. I appreciate your support very much. Go ahead and leave a like on this video and a comment down below if you want to see another 200 videos. With that quick announcement out of the way, I want to show you a couple of things that have changed here aboard Athena since the last weekend. And the first thing is that I'm almost done varnishing the teak trim on the starboard side of the saloon. That means this last week I've varnished from the edge of that door frame over there, and then all along here, and down this way, and all the way to this door frame right here. Now that is awesome news because I only need maybe another 2 coats on there, which means I should be able to start painting the area over here on Sunday. I'm super excited about that because painting the area over here should give you guys and me a good idea of what the boat is going to look like once I'm done with the refit. The second thing that has happened since the last weekend is that I've removed more of the cabin sole, or at least I've removed the top part of it, that's this stuff here. So all I have to do now is to remove the subfloor part, and I've done that because I need to inspect the inside of the hull underneath here, primarily to check if the limber holes are glassed over like they were on the starboard side of the boat. Anywho, enough yammering on, let's get to the fun and destructive part. I've already removed the screws that I used to secure the subfloor, so let's go ahead and remove it and see what's hiding down there. This is actually not that bad. As you can see, it's nice and dry down there, with one tiny exception. And that's this compartment over here. As you can see, there's a bit of standing water there. As to why there is standing water here, well, it's quite simple. There is a hole, a tiny hole drilled in here that's supposed to drain this compartment, but it's not drilled parallel to the hull. It's drilled at a bit of an angle to the hull, and that means there's a bit of a lip on the inside, which causes there to be standing water in there. If you're curious about the pieces of foam that's in there, those are just the remnants from the expanding foam that was used to insulate the fridge. And that's the last of the water. Right in there in the corner you can see that tiny hole I mentioned, and also the lip that's there that caused the standing water that was here. On a positive note, in the larger compartments, the limber holes, they aren't glassed over like they were on the starboard side of the boat. If we take a closer look, we can see that the fiberglass that's laid up in this corner here have simply just been cut away from the limber hole. And that's excellent news because it eliminates the tiny bit of doubt I had. I'm now 110% certain that the glassed over limber holes in the starboard side of the boat is just a mistake made by the yard that built this Warrior 38. And that's good news because it's an easy mistake to fix. It's just a matter of cutting away that fiberglass and she'll be good as new. Or, well, in fact, even better than new. If I'm to get the next coat of varnish on the teak trim tonight, I better get busy sanding. I'm not going to show you guys that, but tomorrow I've got a quick tip for sanding in between coats I want to share with you. And tomorrow we're also going to take a look at these. These are compact laminate samples. So I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Good morning, guys. Today is Saturday and I've got a lot of stuff on my to-do list for today, so I better get busy. In the hopes of being able to get that last coat of varnish on today, I've turned the heat here aboard Athena way up. It's about 25 degrees Celsius in here right now, and that means I certainly don't need my jacket or my hat. Yesterday I removed this piece of the cabin sole. The very last thing I did before leaving the boat was to epoxy in these supports here, just like I did on the starboard side of the boat last weekend. So I'm going to put this piece of the cabin sole back temporarily, just so that I'll have a nice flat surface to walk on today. There are several reasons as to why I want to remove the cabin sole, including the settee here in the middle of the saloon. I think I mentioned the first reason yesterday, and that was to inspect those limber holes to make sure that there are actually holes and not just glassed over like over here. Another reason is to thoroughly clean, sand and paint the inside of the hull. That has two purposes. For one, it will make the inside of the hull look pretty, and it'll also get rid of the very last remnants of that old boat funk. But I can't do that now. It's simply just too cold outside for me to paint the inside of the hull, so I'll have to put that off till early next spring. Another reason is for me to take a look at how water that ends up inside the boat is routed to the bilge. There seems to be a general issue with having standing water in different compartments aboard this boat, and I want to fix that. And I also want to get rid of that plug you see down there, that little wooden bung. I also want to change the way the chain locker drains, and the same goes for the showers, because all of those drain to the bilge, which is a horrible solution in my eyes. But I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here. That's all stuff for upcoming videos. Let's get back to what I'm actually going to do today. And next up, let's take a look at these compact laminate samples. The first thing on my to-do list for today is to see how difficult it would be for me to trim a sheet of compact laminate to use as a countertop here in the galley. If you're wondering why I'd want to bother with that, it's because I can save a lot of money by doing it myself. But I'll get back to the cost of all of this in a later video. These are two samples I've gotten from a friend of mine. He works at a place where they use a lot of compact laminate, and he might be able to get me a piece of scrap that's big enough for me to use as a countertop here in the galley for next to nothing, which would be awesome. This is 10 millimeters and this is 16 millimeters. 10 is perfectly fine for what I'm doing here. The only downside to getting a piece of scrap from my friend is the fact that I can only choose from these two colors, so that's a light gray and a white. That's why I've also ordered these. If I buy a sheet of these and then trim it myself, I can get enough for the countertop for about $350, which isn't too bad. I've never tried trimming compact laminate before. This stuff is hard as a rock and it's pretty thick. Of course, I've tried trimming laminate before, and that's easy because it's so thin, but yeah. Let's give this a go. This is going to represent my 6mm MDF template for the countertop. And just for the sake of this little experiment, let's say that I need to trim away all of this material here. I've gone ahead and put some masking tape on the compact laminate so that I can trace the outline of the template onto this, because I want to use my jigsaw to get as close as possible to that line, because I think just using my router to take away all of this material is going to be too much for that tiny router. Okay, let's give this a go. Well, that was reasonably easy to cut. The saw blade does heat up a lot on the curved section, so for the final countertop I'll have to take my time. For this little test piece I just powered through. The good news is that I don't see any tearing of the top laminate at all. Nice and smooth, and don't look at the jagged edges here, that was just to rough in the shape. The important thing is that the top laminate here doesn't tear or splinter away when I cut it. Because this is such a tiny little test piece, I've gone ahead and used some plywood to secure it to the galley, and it's really on there. This is going to be interesting. I have no idea how my dinky little router is going to fare against that piece of compact laminate, but let's give it a go. Well, that was surprisingly easy. Let's get this masking tape off. The cut on this is a little bit uneven over here, but that's okay. That unevenness was in my template. And if we look at this cut here, it's perfect. Looking at this, there's absolutely no reason why I shouldn't trim a sheet of compact laminate myself to save a bit of money. I'm glad I did that test. I can now go ahead and order a sheet of compact laminate knowing that I can trim it myself. There's only one teeny tiny little issue I still need to figure out, and that's what color I should order. For that, I think I'll turn to the great hive mind, that's you guys, for some advice. If you look at the top right corner of this video, a small eye will appear now. If you click that, you'll be able to vote on what color you think I should go with. These are the 4 colors I can choose from. There's a black, a dark gray, a light grey and a white. Personally, I favor either the dark grey or the black, but it'll be very interesting to see what you guys think. It's still going to be another couple of hours until I can start sanding that coat of varnish I put on yesterday. So until then, why don't I tell you a little bit about what I'm going to be doing next? Because as soon as I'm done painting in here in the starboard side of the saloon, I'm going to start to run out of stuff that I can do in the saloon, at least until early spring. This is the port side aft cabin here aboard Athena, and as you might be able to see, it's chock full of stuff right now. So why don't I just go ahead and get rid of some of all the stuff so that I can bring you guys in here, because this is the next area I'm going to start working on. So I've stashed all of the stuff that was in here elsewhere on the boat. This is a pretty decent size aft cabin for a 38-foot boat. Right now the camera is pushed all the way up against the bulkhead in the forward end of the aft cabin. This is looking the other way with the camera pushed all the way towards the aft end of this cabin. The reason this cabin is next on my to-do list is because I plan on sleeping in here once I have Athena back in the water, at least until I'm done with the refit on the forward cabin. Or that's to say, that's one of the reasons. The other reason is this area right here. That's where the DC distribution panel is located. I plan on rewiring the entire boat this winter, and it makes sense to sort out this area before I start rewiring the boat. As for what I'm going to change in here, I haven't quite made up my mind yet, but I think I'm going to keep the locker that's located here behind the door because there's decent storage in there. As for the area where the DC distribution panel sits, I might extend that out that way and then move the distribution panel over there, so that could free up this area here for a nice big screen. But I'm far from made up my mind yet, so these are a little more than just initial thoughts. I think what I'll do is order the DC distribution panel I want, and then just build that area around that distribution panel. But we'll see. If you've got any kind of feedback, go ahead and leave it as a comment down below. It's a few hours later now, and I've just sanded one of the pieces of teak trim here in the galley just as a test, and it's good, so it looks like I can get busy sanding. Yay! I mentioned yesterday that I had a quick tip for you guys for when sanding in between coats, and this is that tip. I don't think these are purposely designed for sanding in between coats of varnish. I think they're meant to be used for all kinds of stuff. And they're this kind of like squishy foam, really soft foam with some kind of an abrasive material on it. There are a couple of reasons as to why I prefer these over just regular sandpaper. For one, it seems like sanding with these is a little bit easier on the fingers. When sanding with one of these foam back blocks, my fingers don't get tired like they do with regular sandpaper. And also, when you're done sanding, it's almost like the surface seems smoother than it would be with just regular sandpaper. Whoops, it got a little bit dark there. I've just turned on some lights. But if we take a look at the area over here, this is the area I've just sanded. This is 100% smooth, and it was super quick to do. There's one downside to these, and that's the price. They are a little bit more expensive than just regular sandpaper. I'm gonna get busy sanding the rest of the teak trim, and then I'm gonna spend about 3 hours or so cleaning up all of the dust in here before I apply that last coat of varnish. I'm not gonna show you any of that. Instead, tomorrow I'll show you the finished result, and then hopefully I can get busy applying that first coat of paint. Hi guys, today is Sunday, it's around noon, and I've only got a couple of hours until I need to start uploading this video if I want to publish it tonight. That means this is my very last chance to get on that first coat of paint if I want to get that into this video. But of course that all hinges on whether or not that last coat of varnish I applied yesterday turned out okay. And looking at this, I think it did. Yep, this is perfect. I've had a quick look at all the trim pieces and I like what I see. I think I'm good to go. Needless to say, for me to be able to apply masking tape to that last coat of varnish now, I've turned the heat up down here and it is nice and toasty. So next step is just to mask off all of the teak trim, and luckily through the magic of video editing, that shouldn't take long. Well, I'm done masking off the teak trim. It took about 2 hours and of course it was a lot of fun. I think I'm almost starting to hate masking tape more than I do sandpaper. Anywho, on to the painting. I thought I'd give you a quick pan so that you can see what the saloon looks like now. Over in the galley I still need to get the last coat of paint on, but it's starting to shape up. And of course I've only got one coat of paint on over here on the starboard side of the saloon, but I think it looks pretty dang spiffy, which of course is very fortunate because I'm going to be living aboard this boat for years to come. I am super glad I managed to get that first coat of paint on the starboard side of the saloon today. Like I said, I think it looks pretty dang spiffy. Well guys, if I'm to have any kind of a chance to publish this video tonight, I need to get busy rendering the video right now. So yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for this video. See you! Yukul and I hope you've enjoyed this video. For more videos like it, click subscribe. Please consider leaving a comment and a thumbs up. It really helps me a lot and I appreciate your support very much. If you're new to the channel, please check out the introduction playlist. If you want to watch every single video I've ever published, check out the playlist named All Videos. It contains every single video listed in chronological order. Ja, det var godt. Det var dygtigt. Det var dygtigt. Det var godt, bassen. Ja, let's go.